This is an honor, and it is sort of scary, you know. You're all such wonderful writers, and it's a pleasure to be here. I'm going to read the first story from my new collection. It sort of segues into Liv's piece because it's about an old woman. All I've been writing about are old women. Why? I don't know. Anyhow, this is called Assumption. Mary had it. The kids, Seth was 40 and Stephanie was 41, had been fighting since San Cristobal. You are, I am not, yes you are. Cramped in the back seat of the tiny rental car, Mary translated their back and forth invectives into Spanish for the softness, the quick prettiness of the language. But her pulse beat with impatience and her stomach churned and curdled. Would you two knock it off, she said at last. This is supposed to be a fun trip. Mother, Stephanie warned. Mary shrugged and turned her hearing aid off. Seth had a large gray mole on the back of his neck that trembled when he shouted, she noticed. And Stephanie already had deep frown lines. They had been a beautiful couple when they first married, but they were a haggard, adulterous, materialistic twosome now. It was not her fault, not her business. Fucking spendthrift. Mary read Seth's lips as he turned in profile, mole bobbing, and Stephanie, equally unimaginative, spat back, fucking miser. If we did nothing else right, Mary thought, Stephanie's father and I knew how to fight. She tried to find a comfortable place among the garden urns, serapes, sombreros, wrought iron wine racks, woven rugs, and hammocks that jammed the back seat. Several extremely sharp-edged tin mirrors reflected her face upside down, doubling her double chin and the bags under her eyes. She smiled anyway, remembering the handsome old boatman who had given her a wink as he oared them through a lake strangled with floating lilies at the resort last week. She turned to the window. The mountains in this part of Chiapas were a soft, hazy blue. The air outside, she thought wistfully, probably smelled of wood smoke from dinner fires, small, good dinners of roasted corn and chicken marinated in limes and chilies. She'd never know, because Stephanie insisted on windows up, AC on. Speeding, Seth swung around stocky Mayan women in embroidered blouses, walking single file along the edge of the forest, dark-faced men bicycling back to their villages. Every now and then a few shacks appeared and disappeared. Mary waved to the children standing in their dusty yards with their dogs, but they didn't wave back. Why should they? Just another old American lady passing by. Her stomach gave a decisive lurch. I'll need a bathroom soon. She could never tell how loud her voice was with her telex off. Not very loud, apparently, because neither turned to acknowledge her, though Seth, scowling, waved toward the scenery as if to say, no gas stations, no towns, no bathrooms. The road curved and wound around and around into the clouds. Mary rubbed her belly and sat back. She had always loved car trips. She was a good traveler. San Cristobal had been her favorite city so far, and its cathedral, where, kneeling, she had celebrated the Feast of the Assumption that morning with beautiful brown-skinned women in brocaded blouses, men in pink serapes, teenage soldiers, and a van load of chatty French tourists, had been her favorite place. But some fruit she had bought from one of the shawled vendors on the cathedral stairs was not setting right. She could feel an evil fluid begin to burble and bounce inside her. I'm getting sick, she announced. I told you not to eat those plantains. This was Stephanie mouthing. They were fried in pig fat, but oh no, you had to have them. They were delicious, Mary explained. Stephanie grimaced and sat back, and Mary hand-pressed her abdomen grimaced too. The plantains had not been delicious. They had been green and greasy, and she had only eaten them to spite her know-it-all daughter, who had eaten nothing but protein bars since Merida. She had been an idiot to bring Stephanie and Seth to Mexico. Just because she had had the happiest years of her childhood here, years ago, did not mean that they would enjoy what she had enjoyed. The soft warmth of the mountain sunshine, the earth colors of the sky at dawn. She smiled, remembering the lively community of expatriate artists her parents had reared her in. She'd had a childhood of flowers and fountains and fiestas, and she would trade it for nothing. She snapped her hearing aid back on and leaned forward, hoping to distract the kids with stories of her happy early life, but a new stomach cramp stopped her. She pursed her lips and pressed her buttocks together, trying to suppress an insistent fart, but it exploded anyway, and she watched as Seth and Stephanie turned to accuse each other. And then, in a helpless ruthless rush of shame, she felt her bowels loosen altogether and flood her jeans. Horrified, she tipped her head back and closed her eyes. "She's dead," Stephanie cried. Still, it was a good idea. Mary kept her eyes closed. The smell, Seth swerved so that one of the mirrors tipped and scratched Mary's arm. "I cannot take the smell. My mother's dead, and all you can think about is the smell." "I don't like the smell of dead people, okay? Is that okay with you? It has nothing to do with your mother, per se." "Per se? Excuse me, this is my mother we are talking about." "Well, what do you want me to do? What are we going to do? Tell me what to do." "We have to find a hospital." "How?" "I don't know. We need to find some Mexican and ask for help." "But we don't speak Spanish. Only your mother speaks Spanish." "Only my mother spoke Spanish." Brakes. Seth throwing up by the side of the road, Stephanie outside screaming at him. Mary opened her eyes. It was dark. She was surprised. She wasn't aware that much time had passed. Maybe she really was dead. But no, she could smell herself. It wasn't that bad. Just natural human shit. It didn't feel that bad either, cooling around her ass and thighs like a mud bath in a spa. Still, it was humiliating, as old age was humiliating, as being in the back seat with children in charge was humiliating. "I can't drive with her in the car," she heard Seth say. "We're not going to leave my mother, who paid for this trip in the first place, if you will recall, dead by the side of the road." "I was thinking," Seth said, humble, low, "we could strap her to the top of the car." "Do what?" "Strap her on top until we get to a phone?" Silence. "Until we get to a hospital?" Silence. "It's the only way I'll be able to drive, honey." Mary opened her mouth to protest, but nothing came out. Stunned, she made herself stiff as the corpse she was supposed to be, as nagging and gagging the two people she had once loved more than anyone in the world wrapped her in a rug, hoisted her up, and strapped her to the roof with rope from one of their hammers. When they got back inside the car and began to drive, she opened her eyes and stared up at the stars. She could smell the smoke now and the deep smell of the pines and feel the cold, fresh wind. She had never felt so free, so lonely, so invisible, or so angry. Below, she knew her daughter and son-in-law would still be fighting. They had fought over the house she had bought them, the dental work she had paid for, the debt she had settled. They didn't mind fighting. They liked it. They probably even liked each other. I'm the one they don't like, Mary thought. I'm just an inconvenient old lady with a convenient bank account. She began to cry, then let herself once again be taken by the beauty of the night sky above her, and eventually, despite the irregular jolt of the car beneath her, she fell asleep. When the car braked, she awoke. Struggling up, she saw they had stopped before a dusty little outpost sitting all by itself at the edge of the forest, lit up like Christmas with green and red bulbs. She heard the kids dash out of the car and run toward it. She would wait until they returned, and then she would confess and tell them the truth, and they could all fly home and put this nightmare behind them. But minutes went by, and more minutes, and more. Finally, Mary untied the hammock ropes and sat up. The front of the tienda was stacked with the bright woven tapestries that Stephanie had been looking for all week. She's shopping, Mary thought. Damn her, she's shopping, and Seth is haggling, and they'll be in there for hours. She slipped down the side of the car into the driver's seat, pulled the extra set of keys from the glove compartment, started the engine, and drove off. She did not permit herself to laugh for miles, but once she started, she could not stop. She could picture the kids when they came out and found the car gone. They'd think some Mexican had stolen it with her dead body on top. They would start to argue about whose fault it was. Mine, Mary thought, exultant. Mine, all mine. She'd give anything to see their faces. But that was the trouble with being dead. You couldn't hang around and enjoy things. She'd just have to head back to the resort with the Lily Lake, clean herself up, buy some pretty clothes, and find that good-looking boatman. Then she'd call her lawyer back in the States, get her will changed, buy a house up here in the mountains, and settle down at last to the life she had always meant to live. Thank you.